Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about the CSS and HTML, how you can organize them nicely so that they can be clean, and then for readability, and that also helps to find the bugs easily because if your the structure of your HTML and CSS is well organized. So for instance, you have a div like this. So you have a div like that, add another div. So you can see here, add another div there. You see, so now as you can see, if you try to add some more div, add another one, we have span. So as you can see like that, you have this and then you have that one there. You can see this one is there, the other one's other side. So to organize it, click like that. So Control Shift. So it's gonna do just almost like Shift and Tab. Yeah, so you're gonna do Shift and Tab so that you can organize it nicely. So this way it really helps for you to be able to read the code nicely because of the way that when you're developing the code, there's a lot of like characters happening and stuff. So if your code is not clean, you're gonna have difficulty to find bugs. You see later, for instance, you can miss like one closing tag, HTML tag, and then you cannot know. You understand? So for instance, like this one is like this one like this. So you can see this is closing nicely. But now if you have something like this, it start become difficult for you to know what's happening there. Maybe you're gonna see, oh, maybe there is a div that is missing here that I have to close. And then you're gonna try to close the div and then it can create another problem. You can see this one at least is giving you a red flag that there is something wrong. But some other development environments is gonna show you that. You see, so you're gonna have to be able to organize the structure. So once you organize your structure, it's gonna help you to limit the amount of errors and also for readability. So now we do a shift step, and then from there you can see, so okay, this one here, you can see click, there's nothing's happening there, so it's this one that says error. So now if we want to put some other stuff, let's say for instance you have a section, and then in that section you have a kind of like a container. So that is your container, and then that is your, let's say for instance this is your section. Put it called the section. We have a section there inside the container. So this container, let's say for instance, is going to be a max width of something, max width of 1,000 for instance. So now we have some, always you are doing shift tab, so that they must always be in order. So now here, later for instance, you can have like rows. You have your row there, and then after that you have your column. So you can create columns there. So you have something like that. So you have your row, and then after that you have the column. So here you put your H2, where you can have your heading title there. You have your heading title. So, and then here you have column 1, column 2, column 3. You see, so, and then shift tab again, and then you make them to look. You can see now it's easy to be able to read the stuff nicely. So yeah, so sometimes if you want, you can add like, okay, this is a container to make it more cleaner. It's almost like you're writing a book. So container You have here the header, and then sometimes you can talk about the functionality if there is some functionality to explain. You see, so you have there, and that, but this one is just optional. So, and then you have your row. See, so yeah, so from there now you can see now how the stuff they are kind of like clean. You see, so you have your section there, and then you define the ID of almost like card events. And then now when you are targeting your stuff, so it's easy for you to so now from the CSS as well, you cannot have later, for instance, things like you put, for instance, like padding 20 like 100 pixel, 20 pixel, like that. And then, for instance, like background light gray. You see, so you cannot have the things like that. So you must make sure your stuff is clean. You see, so this you need to go down, and then you mustn't go down in this way. You understand? So you have to make it sure it's clean like that. And the same thing here also, when we do things, you do always shift tab. You see, so even if it's like that, you put shift tab. You see, so that is showing you how to, so that the readability is very clean of your CSS and also of your HTML. You see, so that's the reason. So if we go now through different elements, you're gonna see there how you're structuring your stuff, well organized. You have your style tag there. You can see everything there is there inside. You can see now is nice because of the stuff inside, so that you can know that this element that they're inside belong to this tag. You see, so that's the way that you do it. And then after that you have your HTML there, you have your HTML there, and then so that you must know that the stuff that is inside is this one, is this one. So now as you can see here, they're using the abo comment, so that we know that this is the content, this icon nicely. You can see here, you can see we have they're giving you now like the functionality. Okay, this one is for this layout type, columns. You give the name there, module variables, and then you have all the stuff there, very clean. And then we have our scope. You have your style tag there, everything that is inside there. And then you can see there you have grid layouts. We know those are the grid layouts, side by side layout, well organized. You can see there. It's almost like when you're writing a book, you want everything must be organized for clear communication, so that someone is reading the book, they can understand chapters and all those different kind of structure of the book. So it's the same thing when you're doing the coding is the language. So the communication that you leave, this is a communication that you're leaving for yourself in the future to understand it nicely, or for other people. Because if it's not well structured, it's going to be difficult for you to understand the code. You can see here we have there, you can see well structured there nicely. So we do have our macro tag functions there, and then we have our if statements. So this is inside there, this one is inside that if conditional, and then the for loop is inside there. You see, so we know that's nicely. As you can see, it's well organized. You see the different state of structure there. So now you can see now they have to reduce the way that they put those functions because of to reduce the amount of HTML. So they create functions for each of the stuff to make the code to be clean. And then you can see there is a space between this function here. You see, to make the code to be very clean. And now you can see we have the post contents. Everything is clean there. And then we have the stuff there, and then after that we are pulling those other HTML here as the functions. Yeah, you can see as the macro functions, and then we have the layout, we have a main section there, and then here where we are pulling now the article, so you can see, and then we are putting the notes, putting some space, putting notes, so that must be clear to understand. Yeah, so go to the next one. So here, the same thing. You can see how clean the stuff is there. The way of title, the items. Yeah, you can see block components, post image, post tags, post title, post offer, post date, post button, and then all of them now we put them here. Escape the macro above, escape the macro above. So put the notes there so that the next person they can understand nicely about the code. So now here build styles, sections. So we have all the stuff there. And then so that must be easy to understand. Yeah. So yeah, so there is different like to always make sure that the code they are really neat. So the CSS, you can see here we have our CSS there explaining everything. Yeah. So to make sure that the code they are very clean and the CSS you keep some spaces there a bit, and then here as well. So someone can read your code nicely. They can understand where we have the for loop, where we have the if statements, where we have the div, the closing parent div, the opening parent div, the closing parent div, the opening inner div, the closing inner div. So we have to know all those stuff. So it need to be well structured, and from there it's gonna be easy. So the reason why you want to make your code to be clean is for you to debug it. It's going to be easy for you to debug to find an issue. If there's an issue, it's going to be easy to find the issue, easy to fix. And also sometimes it's going to be easy for you to understand. Sometimes you're going to go back, you want to add a functionality. But now if your code is not well structured, so now it's going to be difficult to understand how it's working. You see, so by giving some spaces and then keeping the structure like that, by from there you're gonna know that okay, so this one works this way. So I'm gonna now have to add my piece of content or piece of script in this way. You see, so that's just gonna be easy for you. So yeah, yeah. So it's like that. This is the way of making sure that your HTML is well structured, your CSS is well structured, your JavaScript also well structured. So any code that you want to writing must always make sure that it's clean to read, and then has some labels or information there, so that's directive information, so that you must know like how it's working, because some other people they can also put like the functionality of the, like when they say okay, this one is an accordion, was built by this person and then it works this, and if you need the documentation also they can put the link of the documentation. So yeah, so just to keep the code clean. Great stuff. Thank you so much. If you like this content, click a thumbs up and subscribe.